Your friend just got divorced, not because his wife met some tall, rich stranger. She left with a guy from her office, someone average, someone she'd known for 3 years. Your friend couldn't understand it. I gave her everything, he kept saying. And here's what no one told him. He did. He gave her everything except the one thing that actually mattered. That's what this video is about. Not paranoia, not how to control your wife. This is about understanding the invisible vulnerabilities that quietly open the door to infidelity. Vulnerabilities that are almost entirely within your control to close. And once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most relationship content refuses to say out loud. Infidelity doesn't usually happen because a man shows up who is better than you. It happens because a gap opened inside the relationship, and someone was standing nearby when it did. These 4 signs are that gap, and they're more common than you think. Sign 1. She stopped feeling emotionally unsafe to be honest with you. Let that one breathe for a second. There's a concept in psychology called emotional safety, and it doesn't mean what most people think it means. It doesn't mean she never feels uncomfortable around you. It means she believes she can tell you the real, unfiltered version of her inner world without being dismissed, ridiculed, or punished for it. Think about the last time she tried to tell you something was bothering her. Not a complaint about dishes, something deeper, a fear about the future, an insecurity about herself, something she felt you weren't giving her. What was your response? Did you listen until she was completely finished? Or did you defend yourself at the first sign it was going somewhere uncomfortable? Here's what most people miss. When a woman doesn't feel emotionally safe with her husband, she doesn't stop needing to express those things. She just stops expressing them to him. And that emotional energy doesn't disappear. It looks for a container, a coworker who asks good questions, a friend who actually listens, a man who, when she says something vulnerable, leans in instead of checking out. Research from the Gottman Institute, one of the most respected relationship research labs in the world, found that what they call bids for connection are one of the strongest predictors of relationship success or breakdown. A bid is any small attempt to connect, a comment, a touch, a question. The turning point isn't grand gestures, it's whether you consistently turn toward those small moments or turn away. When you turn away enough times, she stops bidding. And that silence is not peace. That silence is a door swinging open somewhere else. So, what do? Start paying attention to what she brings to you, especially the things that seem small or emotional or inconvenient. Before you respond, ask yourself, is she looking for a solution right now, or is she looking to feel heard? Most of the time, it's the second one. You don't have to have answers. You just have to stay in the room, fully present, until she feels like she landed somewhere. That simple shift will close a vulnerability most men don't even know is open. Sign 2. Your physical relationship has become a routine, or worse, a transaction. Let me show you how this actually works, because this goes deeper than most couples are willing to look. Physical intimacy in a long-term relationship is not just about sex. It's a barometer. It reflects, with remarkable accuracy, the emotional temperature of the relationship. When physical connection becomes mechanical, predictable, or obligation-driven, something fundamental has shifted, and both people feel it, even if neither of them says it out loud. Here's where it gets interesting. The issue is rarely that desire has vanished. Desire doesn't just evaporate after years together. It migrates, and it migrates toward novelty, toward anyone who makes her feel the way she felt in the early days of your relationship. The butterflies, the uncertainty, the feeling of being genuinely wanted, not needed, wanted. There's a difference between a husband who touches his wife because he wants to, because he finds her genuinely attractive and can't help himself, and a husband who goes through the motions of physical affection because that's what you're supposed to do. She can feel that difference with frightening precision. Dr. Helen Fisher, an anthropologist at Rutgers who has spent decades studying the biology of love and attraction, has documented how the brain's reward system responds to novelty. Dopamine, the chemical of desire and anticipation, is triggered by the new and the uncertain. That's why early relationships feel electric. The brain is flooded. Over time, familiarity reduces that response. But, and this is critical, it doesn't have to. The couples who maintain long-term desire are the ones who deliberately introduce unpredictability, not tricks, not games, genuine, present, intentional pursuit. Think about this. When did you last pursue your wife the way you did when you were trying to win her? When did you last make her feel like she had your full, undivided, hungry attention? That feeling is not gone. You just stopped creating it. So, what do? Stop treating physical intimacy as the reward at the end of the day after everything else is handled. Make it a priority, not an afterthought. Introduce surprise, not in a performative way, but in a genuine, I was thinking about you today and I can't wait to see you tonight way. Flirt with her. Actually flirt. Like you're not guaranteed anything. The man who makes a woman feel genuinely wanted, especially a woman who has been married for years, has an enormous amount of relational power. That man should be you. Sign 3. She has an emotional world you're not part of. This one is the quietest sign and probably the most dangerous. Every person has an inner emotional world, a place where they process their fears, their dreams, their dissatisfactions, their secret hopes. In a healthy relationship, both partners are given access to that world. Not all of it, not all at once, but the door is open. You know what keeps her up at night. You know what she's excited about. You know the things she's afraid to say out loud, even to herself. Now, ask yourself honestly, do you know what your wife is afraid of right now? Not surface-level fears, real ones. What does she lie awake thinking about at 2 a.m.? What does she want for herself? Not for the family, not for the marriage, but for herself. That she hasn't told you about recently? If you don't know, that's the sign. And the reason you don't know isn't necessarily because she's hiding it. It might be because you stopped asking, or when she started to share, you steered the conversation somewhere more comfortable. Or you were there physically, but absent in every other way. Phone in hand, half listening, nodding without hearing. Here's the brutal reality. Someone will know those things. Humans cannot carry their inner world in isolation for long. The need to be known is one of the most fundamental drives we have. If that need isn't met at home, it will be met somewhere else. And the person who meets it, the one who asks the right question at the right time and actually waits for the answer, becomes extraordinarily important to her, whether either of them intends it or not. This is how emotional affairs begin, not with flirtation, with someone saying, "Are you okay? You seem off today." And her thinking, "You noticed. He noticed me." The most dangerous man in your wife's life isn't necessarily the most attractive one. He's the one who pays attention. So, what do? Schedule what some therapists call State of the Union conversations, not to discuss logistics or problems, but to genuinely check in on each other's inner lives. Once a week, ask her 3 things. What are you most excited about right now? What's weighing on you? And what do you need from me that you haven't been getting? Then listen. Don't solve, don't defend, don't minimize, just receive what she gives you. That conversation, done consistently, keeps you inside her emotional world, and it makes it nearly impossible for anyone else to fill that space. Sign 4. She doesn't respect you, and you've been tolerating it. Now, we're getting into territory most videos won't go near, but this one matters enormously, and I'm going to say it clearly. Attraction and respect are inseparable, especially for women in long-term relationships. This is not a controversial idea. It's one of the most consistent findings in relationship psychology. When a woman loses respect for her partner, attraction follows closely behind. And when attraction disappears from a marriage, the relationship becomes vulnerable in ways that are very hard to reverse. But here's what I want you to notice. The disrespect itself is almost never the original problem. It's a symptom. A woman doesn't wake up one day and decide to stop respecting her husband. It erodes slowly, usually because of one of 2 things. Either he stopped holding himself to a standard, physically, professionally, personally, and she watched him shrink over time, or he began tolerating behavior that signaled to her, subconsciously, that he had no standards for how he was treated. Think about that second one. Every time you let a cutting comment go without addressing it, every time you bent your own values to keep the peace, every time you accepted being dismissed, belittled, or chronically deprioritized and said nothing, each of those moments sent a signal, and over time, those signals accumulated into a belief. He doesn't really value himself. And if he doesn't value himself, why should I? This is not about being dominant or aggressive or any of the other distorted masculinity tropes you'll find in darker corners of the internet. This is about self-respect. A man who knows what he stands for, who communicates his needs clearly, who addresses problems directly without drama or hostility, who has a life and a sense of purpose beyond the relationship. That man is deeply attractive, not because he's performing masculinity, because he's genuinely grounded. Let that sink in. The version of you that your wife fell in love with. What was he like? Was he certain? Was he building something? Did he have standards? Did he push back when something wasn't right? Most men, if they're honest, can point to the moment they started trading those qualities for comfort, for peace, for the path of least resistance. And it cost them something they didn't realize was precious until it was already gone. So, what do? Start by doing an honest internal audit, not of her behavior, of yours. Are you growing or stagnating? Do you have a vision for your own life that exists independently of the relationship? Are you communicating clearly and directly, or are you swallowing things that need to be said? Do you hold your own values with conviction, or do you negotiate them away whenever there's friction? The work here isn't about impressing her. It's about becoming the version of yourself you actually respect. When you do that, when you genuinely do that, she will feel it. The whole dynamic shifts. And the space that might have been quietly opening closes, not through control or surveillance, but through presence, through being the kind of man whose attention she wants, not one whose absence she doesn't notice. The through line nobody talks about. Here's the thing that ties all four of these signs together, and it's the insight I want you to leave with. Infidelity almost never begins with a decision. It begins with a drift. Two people slowly, incrementally, stop actually seeing each other. And in that invisibility, a kind of emotional vacancy opens up, and nature abhors a vacuum. The vulnerability isn't created by the other man. It's created by the drift. He just happened to be standing nearby when the vacancy appeared. What makes this genuinely hopeful, not in a platitude way, in a practical way, is that drift is reversible. Every single sign in this video points back to something you can actually change. Emotional safety is built through consistent, small moments of turning toward your partner. Physical desire is regenerated through genuine pursuit and presence. Emotional intimacy is maintained by curiosity and attention. Self-respect is cultivated through honest introspection and holding your standards. None of this is passive. None of it happens by default. But neither is it mysterious. The couples who build relationships that are genuinely resistant to infidelity aren't lucky. They're intentional. They treat the relationship like something that requires active maintenance, not something that runs on autopilot once you've said the vows. Your marriage is not a finished thing. It's a living system, and it responds to what you put into it with remarkable faithfulness. The question worth sitting with after this video isn't, is my wife vulnerable to another man? The real question is, am I showing up in a way that makes our connection the most compelling thing in her life? Because if you are, consistently, intentionally, with genuine presence, then the answer to every sign in this video is already taken care of. Not through fear, not through control, but through the kind of love that actually holds. That's the version of this conversation nobody else is having, and now you've heard it.